Pennsylvania DUI penalties explained. So one night, one arrest, and suddenly you're trying to figure out whether you're going to lose your license, go to jail, lose your job, and have a criminal record following you around for the rest of your life. If you're searching Pennsylvania DUI penalties right now, here's what I want you to know before we get into the details. The outcome of DUI in Pennsylvania is not random. It follows a system, and once you understand the system, the picture gets a lot clearer. I'm Sean Quinlan, Pennsylvania DUI attorney. This is the full breakdown, tiers, offenses, license consequences, ARD, costs, and what to actually do right now. So how does Pennsylvania organize its DUI cases? Pennsylvania DUI law is built like a ladder. Three things determine where you are on that ladder: your BAC level or drug allegation, your prior DUI history within a 10-year window, and whether anything made the case worse: a refusal, an accident, a child in the car. The state uses three penalty tiers: general impairment, a BAC of 0.108 or 0.08 up to 0.10. The lowest tier, high rate, a BAC of 0.10 to 0.16. Highest rate, 0.16 and above. This tier also covers most drug DUI allegations, and that's where a lot of people get surprised. A drug DUI, marijuana, prescription, medication, illegal substances, or a combination, often gets treated like the top tier, even when there's no breath test number involved. That means tougher fines, more jail exposure, longer license consequences, and more treatment requirements. And here's the thing most people don't realize. A DUI isn't one punishment with one price tag. It can mean criminal fines, jail, or probation, alcohol safety school, treatment, a PennDOT license suspension, ignition interlock, higher insurance rates, and a lasting record problem, all at the same time. So what are the first offense penalties? Let's start where most people are, the first offense. General impairment, first offense. This is the most favorable starting point. You're typically looking at probation up to 6 months, a $300 fine, alcohol traffic safety school, and possible treatment. In many cases, there's no license suspension. That's the best case tier. But don't mistake least severe for harmless. You can still end up with a criminal record, court costs, insurance problems, and professional fallout that follows you long after the fine is paid. High rate, first offense. Mandatory minimum 48 hours in jail, fines from $500 to $5,000, a 12-month license suspension, treatment requirements. Highest rate, or drug DUI first offense, mandatory minimum of 72 hours, fines from $1,000 to $5,000, 12-month license suspension, more likely, more treatment. The difference between the lower and higher tier isn't just the numbers on a chart. It can completely change the strategy in your case. A challenge to the stop, the testing procedure, or the timing of a blood draw can matter a lot more than most people realize. Second and third offense penalties. Once a prior DUI enters the picture, mandatory minimums become the part that matters the most, because a judge usually cannot go below them, even with a clean background and a strong personal history. Second offense, general impairment. Mandatory minimum of 5 days in jail, fines up to $2,500, 12-month license suspension. Second offense, high rate. This again is between a 0.10 and a 0.16. Mandatory minimum jumps to 30 days, fines up to $5,000, 12-month license suspension. Second offense, highest rate, or DUI, drug DUI. Mandatory minimum 90 days, fines up to $10,000, 18-month license suspension. That's a massive shift from first offense territory. Third offense. This is where the long-term damage becomes hard to ignore. At the highest rate tier, you're looking at 1 to 5 years, fines up to $10,000, an 18-month license suspension, and possible felony charges. A felony DUI stops being just a DUI in any normal sense. Jobs, housing, commercial driving, firearm rights in some situations, and professional licensing can all become larger concerns once felony exposure is in play. One more thing on priors. Pennsylvania uses a 10-year look back, and out-of-state priors can count. An old case you thought was buried in another county or another state can reappear at sentencing and completely change how your current charge is graded. What are the license consequences? For a lot of people, the license issue feels more urgent than the criminal charge. And in central Pennsylvania, that makes complete sense. If you lose your license and you're commuting from Carlisle to Harrisburg, public transit is not exactly a seamless backup plan. Here's how suspensions generally break down. First offense general impairment, often no suspension. First offense high rate or highest rate, typically 12 months. Drug DUI, typically 12 months as well. Second offense, 12 months at lower tiers, 18 months at highest rate, or drug DUI. Third and later offenses follow similar patterns with longer stretches at higher tiers. Refusal is its own problem. PennDOT can suspend your license under implied consent rules completely separate from the criminal case. That administrative suspension can happen even if the DUI charge itself ends better than expected. One decision during the stop can hit you from two different directions. Getting your license back usually means more than just waiting out the calendar. Full suspension served, treatment completed, restoration fees paid, ignition interlock requirements met. Delays from missed paperwork and confusion over eligibility stretch this process all the time. ARD, the first offense game changer. For most first-time DUI cases, ARD is often the most important phrase in the entire conversation. ARD, here standing for Accelerated Rehabilitative Disposition, is a pretrial diversion program. If you're accepted and complete it successfully, you can avoid a conviction entirely. That's the big deal. Avoiding conviction protects your record in ways a standard guilty plea cannot. Who qualifies? Eligibility depends on the facts and the county. Prior record issues, crashes with injury, a passenger under 14 in the car, and other aggravating factors can block ARD. County practice matters too. A first offense case in one central Pennsylvania county may be screened a little differently than the same case a couple exits down the turnpike. What does ARD still cost you? Program fees, classes, treatment, probation-style supervision, and depending on your BAC and facts, a license suspension. Higher tier ARD cases can still carry a 30 or 60-day license suspension. ARD is not a free pass, but it can be the difference between a rough year and a criminal conviction that follows you for the rest of your life. After successful completion, expungement may be available, meaning the arrest and the court record can be cleared. That doesn't happen automatically. It requires an additional step, but it can let you actually move on. What a DUI really costs. The statutory fine is just the sticker price. The actual total feels like a grocery run for one item that somehow ends with 8 bags in the trunk. On top of attorney's fees and court costs, you're looking at court costs, DUI fees, CRN evaluation, treatment or counseling, ARD program fees if applicable, PennDOT restoration fees, ignition interlock installation, and monthly monitoring, towing, and impound and insurance rates, which often spike hard after a DUI and stay elevated for years. Add in missed work, transportation costs during a suspension, and the ripple effect on your career if your job has any clean record requirement, and the financial hit can be much larger than anything that appears in your court paperwork. What are some special situations that raise the stakes? A few situations move the needle fast. Underage DUI. Pennsylvania's threshold for drivers under 21 is .02, not .08. Far less alcohol, far more consequences, plus the school, scholarship, and family fallout on top. CDL drivers. A DUI can threaten your commercial driving privileges even if the arrest was in your personal vehicle. Your ability to earn a living can be at risk before the criminal case is even resolved. Licensed professionals. Nurses, teachers, healthcare workers, and contractors. Many have mandatory reporting duties to their licensing boards. A plea that looks manageable in criminal court can still create a licensing or employment problem that surfaces much later. DUI with an accident, injury, or child passenger. Pennsylvania law includes enhanced penalties in some of these situations, and an injury crash can bring separate criminal charges on top of the DUI. At that point, the case is no longer about BAC and prior record. It's about harm, added exposure, and much more serious sentencing risk. How long does a DUI stay on your record? Your criminal record and your driving record are not the same thing. They're tracked differently, affect different things, and operate on different timelines. A DUI conviction can affect both, and it can keep showing up long after court ends. Employment screens, apartment applications, insurance renewals, and professional licensing reviews can all bring it back. ARD and expungement is the main path to clearing a first offense record. A conviction is much harder to remove, and waiting too long on expungement means living with the record longer than you have to. The sentence ends, the consequences can keep echoing. That long tail effect is often the worst part of the whole thing. So what do you do right now? If your arrest is still fresh, three things matter most right now. Number one, find every piece of paper you were given and read the deadlines today. Court dates, penned out notices, ARD deadlines, suspension for information. Missing a hearing or compliance step can make a bad situation worse for no reason. Number two, write down the details while they're still fresh. Where the stop happened, what time, what was said, what tests were requested, whether the blood was drawn, who was around. Details fade fast, and small facts can matter a lot later. Number three, get legal advice before making the easy mistake. The easy mistake is assuming that every first DUI gets treated the same. It doesn't. How priors are counted, whether ARD is actually available, whether refusal suspension can be challenged, whether a plea that sounds simple creates a larger problem, those decisions can happen early and they matter. Pennsylvania DUI law follows a system. Once you understand the tiers, the look-back period, ARD, and what's actually at stake beyond the fine, the picture is clearer and the decisions get better. If you've been charged with a DUI in Pennsylvania and you want to understand exactly where your case stands, reach out. Free consultation, no pressure. Link is in the description. Subscribe for more straight talk on Pennsylvania DUI law. I'll see you in the next video.